Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show on this Tuesday evening. Delighted to have your company. I'm Peter Martin, and as ever on this Tuesday we have Alan Ruff, and he's back with us after a trip over to Dortmund to see his beloved Borussia. Hugh MacDonald of the Daily Mail is with us here as well. We'll get a wee touch on that as well. But first and foremost, here's what the guys are going to be talking about tonight on the programme. Yeah, Champions League to look forward to as well, but we'll be talking in detail about that Scottish Cup replay, the Highland Derby, and of course Rangers against Kilmarnock. But first and foremost, I don't often like to get involved in debates over disagreements between clubs and other broadcasters, but this one has reared its head, Hugh MacDonald, because Stuart Robertson has come out and said, you know, it seems to be a constant re-refereeing of games. Been critical of the SFA on this, and he's critical of the BBC Sports Scene programme because he feels as if, you know, the panel are being driven by what they editorially decide is on their programme. Now, what's your thoughts on it?
It's a fascinating one because, of course, it's got the back context of the continuing row over between Rangers and the BBC over the ban, basically, on one of the reporters, and BBC, of course, in my opinion, has taken the right decision to say, well, if you ban one of us, you ban all of us, because you can't decide what reporters go to matches. So it's got that context on it. Well, everything else, I think he's wrong. I think I don't agree with many of his statements on it. I think they're wrong on the situation over, let's be frank about it, Chris McLaughlin going to Ajax. I think he's wrong about whether the incidents influence the SFA by what, for example, pundits might say. I don't think that's how it works. But I do think he's got a point about the way going forward that the disciplinary situation has got to be cleaned up and has got to be, I think, everybody calls it more transparent. I would like to see more rigid so that everybody knows the precise rules. Now, they've come out and they've explained it twice and it still doesn't make real sense, I don't think.
Yeah.
So I think there are issues there which have to be addressed. But the fact of the matter is, the idea that there's an agenda against Rangers, I think, is not on, because basically, see what it comes down to. If you've got nothing to be cited for, there will be nothing. I mean, it goes back to individual responses by players.
Well, here's a statement from Rangers on this, and again, I've heard the expression trial by TV or trial by Sports Scene, and that certainly seems to be the way it's going this season. It certainly feels like games are being re-refereed. This is the comments from Stuart Robertson. The BBC have refused to attend Ibrox since November 2015. They wouldn't interview the manager or players, so if they're treating us differently in that respect, are there other areas where they're treating Rangers differently? You only have to go back to the Alfredo Morelos incident after the Old Firm game, where they seemed to spend an inordinate amount of time examining Alfredo's actions, but at no time at all on any other incidents from that game. Morelos was effectively vilified for 3 weeks on various BBC platforms. So the question is, if they are treating us differently, and they have confirmed in writing that they are treating us differently to other Premiership clubs, where else are they treating us differently? I think it's an unfortunate situation. Probably difficult to ask you on this, Ruffy, because obviously you're a director at Partick Thistle, and you would be compromised. But I think the one thing I would say on this issue is, I agree with you. I think Stuart Robertson's right on the fact that we need to look at the way it's been constantly re-refereed. I don't agree that they're highlighting Rangers players, and I certainly don't agree that suddenly 3 former referees and Claire White would be influenced by what the BBC says. The one thing I would say, and I think this screams out at it, is quite simply, if you shout loud enough about something up here, you take everybody else's mind off the deficiencies here, which is quite simply the performance of the team.
Yeah.
It's just not good enough. The manager knows it's not good enough. They don't have good enough players. And because there was this hype around Rangers competing with Celtic for the title, wrongly in my view, from a number of pundits, that's heaped the pressure on Steven Gerrard. And in my view, and you might disagree or agree, I don't know, it's here, look at this, let's find an excuse for this.
Well, I concur with that. I think if I was looking at the 2 statements this week that have come out of the Rangers as such, the Stuart Robertson one, I look at it and I find it interesting. I find it interesting in a political sense. You know, are they treating us differently and all that? And it's good copy. The more interesting one to me is that when Steven Gerrard talks about egos in his dressing room, I go, oof, that's a real, because that affects things on the park, which is what it's all about, you know. And I'm going, my ears, my very large Dumbo-like ears, prick up at that one, because I say, that's unusual for a manager to say, and that's a real slap down. And Gerrard's been doing that to his players throughout the season, and I'm interested in how that'll go down in the dressing room. And I'm interested in the whole context of that, because, as you say, the real pressure at Rangers at the moment, with all due respect, isn't, you know, how the SFA are treating them disciplinary matters, because there's a counter argument that, for instance, Alan McGregor, for example, has got off pretty lightly in disciplinary matters over the years. Morelos, the game that they talk about, the Rangers Celtic game, where he's talking about in his statement, there was all that trial by sportsmen, as he calls it. Yeah. Well, there might have been a trial by sportsmen, but Morelos didn't go into the dock, did he? He didn't get any. He didn't get any sanction on that. That was so. I think the more interesting thing is what's happening in the field of play, and it's going to be we'll go on and talk about this later, but it's going to be a terrific couple of days in Scotland with the Scottish Cup replays. Yeah, and it's huge for them, and we're going to delve into Rangers against Kilmarnock shortly. The BBC statement to reply to that, and again, I think we could all be probably accused by some quarters that we are sticking together in the media with this. The central part of this dispute is that Rangers is continuing to operate an exceptional ban on one of our journalists. We've offered to return to Ibrox to provide commentary as per the rights, while we try to find a permanent solution to the overall dispute, but Rangers have said this is unacceptable. Our coverage, including analysis and comment, is editorially fair. We will continue to speak to both Rangers and the SPFL about the situation, as we believe it's in the best interests of our audiences to restore the ability to bring commentaries from all SPFL grounds. Well, my last word on this, quite simply, Ruffy, is I think if you are to solve any crisis, there's no point in constantly looking backwards. You have to look forwards. Some people have to give ground on both quarters here. And I think at the end of it, to move forward and put the past in the past and start to say, OK, we're going to draw a line in the sand. Yeah, I think we all hope that. You know, we all know what Rangers went through in the past, and obviously different regimes coming in at different times, and we thought this new regime, we're going to see it differently and move on and look to the future. But there still has a lot of stuff sort of floating about, if you know what I mean, and the sooner it gets done, the better, because I'm sure Steven Gerrard just wants to talk about what the players are doing on the park and nothing else. Yeah, absolutely. And of course, they've got that to do. And of course, if you think it's just Rangers talking about off-the-field incidents, Steve Clarke himself is obviously still going back towards what happened in the match against Celtic. So we're going to hear after the break about the Killie boss and what he has to say on that.
there's some cracking matches to look forward to as well in the Champions League. I just wonder, Hugh, if you were watching a Champions League match tonight, which one are you going for? I'm Liverpool, Bayern. Is that the way you're going?
I'm going Liverpool Bayern. I just think it's a perfect clash. One of these great script writing, Klopp coming back to face a great rival in Bayern.
Are you the same, Ruffy?
Yeah, I'm going to go for Bayern in this one.
Yeah, okay. I didn't ask who you were going for. I just asked who you were watching for. You've gone too early, Ruffy, with your opinion. You see, he's fourth right now. After the break, we'll look at Champions League. We'll look ahead to Rangers against Kilmarnock as well. Here's a wee quiz question we're running. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. Alan Ruff and Hugh MacDonald are with me, Peter Martin. As ever, sometimes on the programme we have to talk about issues off the park, but it seems to be dogging Scottish football more and more. In the aftermath of Celtic's late win at Rugby Park on Sunday, obviously the fallout from that, a number of disciplinary issues and the conduct of some Celtic fans towards Chris Boyd with the throwing of a coin, sectarian abuse, and of course the seats as well. Steve Clarke had this to say on the damage at Rugby Park.
Of course, you don't want anybody throwing anything. People go to football to watch the game. They should go watch the game. Everyone keeps talking about the mindless minority, and it is. But I think the more sensible majority, they also have a part to play. They have to point out the mindless minority, and then the authorities can deal with it better. I think the sad thing for me is that we're sitting here on a Tuesday morning. It's Tuesday, isn't it? Sitting here on a Tuesday morning before we play a massive cup game tomorrow night. We put up a terrific show against the, dare I say it, the champions-elect in Scotland. I'm sure there's a few clubs who've got something to say about that. And we're sitting here talking about issues that we shouldn't be talking about. So it'll be good if the authorities can act, can deal with it strongly, and then we can all move on and talk about football, which is what we all want to do.
Can you self-police at games? Are you asking too much of fans to suddenly start reporting other fans?
I think there's a danger in it. I really do. I think if it's all right, I think people who work in football perhaps don't realise precisely what it's like to be a fan at football. I think some fans, quite rightly, can be intimidated by others. I'm not making excuses for any supporter in here. I think sectarian abuse, I've written about it so many times, and from whatever side, I utterly condemn, unreservedly. Throwing coins is complete and utter madness. And Barry Ferguson last night quite rightly said it could lead to a serious injury at one time. We're lucky, that it hasn't. But there has to be an element of better stewarding at matches. Stewarding at matches, and I know, having talked to chief executive and club chairman throughout Scotland, they're unsatisfied with the level of stewarding. The quality of stewarding that comes in.
Yeah, Hugh, I've watched and looked at a number of stewards who actually attend the games. They're not there to sort out the misdemeanours of morons.
And they're not going to.
And certainly not for the hourly rate that they're getting paid. And if we start to put more and more police in, we're going to bankrupt the game. It's as simple as that. I don't know how they actually stamp it out other than getting the CCTV and going and chasing them afterwards. It's the only way. Here's Kilmarnock's statement on the whole issue from the weekend. The Board of Kilmarnock wishes to express its dismay at a number of events which occurred during yesterday's game against Celtic. During the course of the match, our club captain Chris Boyd was struck by a missile thrown from the crowd. A number of Chadwick and Moffat stand seats were damaged or broken while Celtic supporters invaded the field of play and confronted our players. We condemn all of these incidents in the strongest possible terms. Over the course of the day, the initial investigation have begun. We'll be seeking meetings with Police Scotland and G4S. Kilmarnock is a family club and as a board continue to work hard to ensure Rugby Park is safe and a welcoming environment. And I think we agree with the sentiment of that. Billy Bowie has gone on to say that the Celtic directors apologised after the game. They were embarrassed with the conduct of some supporters. And again, he emphasised that action should be taken. So we wait to see how many fans are actually caught and, of course, banned in the future on this one. But we need to take a stronger stance because it's just slowly but surely sneaking into more and more football. You can give us your view on that on our social media channels on YouTube, on Facebook and Twitter as well. We'd love to hear from you on how you think we solve this ongoing problem. To the match itself, there are a couple to look forward to. Inverness against Ross County. Boy, Robbo thought, Ruffy, they were there, done and dusted until that last-minute equaliser.
I could see where Robbo was coming from at the end of a game. You're 3 minutes into your injury time, you get a punt up the park, and all of a sudden he turns round and he sees his defence 2 against 2. You know, just not on. You know, it's just a matter of policing the game and seeing it out. You get as many defenders back there as possible, and he get caught. And I can imagine he'd be absolutely fuming in that dressing room after the game. So it's going to be another difficult one tonight. I'm reading that Ian Polworth is 50-50 to play in that game. He's a massive player for Inverness. I'm sure he won't be there much longer. I think teams are looking at him already. So it'll be a big one for him if he's available. So I'm sure it'll be a really, really tight game and maybe go all the way.
Yeah, all the way, yep. And he's fallen into that trap again, so I've got to leather him shoe. It'll go all the way, probably could have, would have. Who's going to win it, Ruffy?
I'm going to go Ross County on penalties.
Okay, there you are.
I'm knocked that one out of the park.
I'm going to go Inverness, Hugh. What about yourself and why?
I'm going to go Ross County. I just think they're a stronger team. I've picked them for the start of the season to go up. So I think they're the best team in the division. So if I think they're the best team in the division, I must think that they'll beat them. But it'll be close. I think it'll be a narrow win for Ross County. Yeah,
and please don't email us or indeed tweet us on it. Ruffy meant Liam Polworth. He was talking about as a key player for them, but he's going for Ross County anyway. He doesn't care who plays for Inverness. Now, what about Rangers against Kilmarnock, Ruffy? Because this one, I think, has swayed towards Rangers. But, you know, maybe Steve Clarke is looking at this game and thinking, they're going to have a go if they want to have to. They're going to stay in this game, stay in this competition.
Yeah, and the evidence, Kilmarnock and Celtic at the weekend, I don't think there was much between the two sides at all. But Rangers have the home advantage. You know, I still think Rangers are creating chances. You know, they never got any at the weekend there. I just think they'll be too strong at the end of the day, and I think Rangers will win this one.
Okay, and let me tell you this: we don't need to spell out the implications of it, but a Kilmarnock win at Ibrox. And suddenly, I think the bubble bursts on, you know, the not so much hysteria, but the glamour around Steven Gerrard. I think he has to win this.
I think he has to as well. I don't think. I think it's a really important game. What happens if you're a manager of Rangers or Celtic as the season progresses? Every game becomes more crucial, whether it's to get success or whether it's to step away from failure. That's the way of it. That's the life. And that's a huge game tomorrow, an absolutely huge game tomorrow night. I think it's a fascinating game because although I thought Kilmarnock did very well against Celtic on Sunday, they're not a team that makes many chances. But crucially, with this new phrase, the low block, which we talk about, putting people behind the ball, they're very, very good at that. Rangers don't seem to have at the moment the player that can prize that open, but they have Morelos. And with Morelos, they're a different team, Peter. So it's a really close game. If you're going to put them on the line as to who wins it, I think whoever scores first.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to go Rangers just to edge it, Ruffy.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think Hughes hit it. Morelos, you know, is the goal scorer. You know, they never had that the weekend. They had loads and loads of chances but couldn't score. He will get chances, and you would think if he gets a really good one, he'll take it.
Yep, okay. Is he still in the running for Player of the Year? He is in my book.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, Ruffy?
No, not for me, no.
Okay, who beats him, Ruffy, just out of curiosity?
I think Callum McGregor's had a good season.
McGregor would have been my shot, but in the running we said we didn't say he was going to
in
beat.
top four.
Yeah, three.
Top four.
Top three.
Top three, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thankfully, Ruffy did that. That avoided another statement released from another club. Anyway, on the other point. Yeah, don't go for it. Don't want to be on air.
Somebody told me to say that.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just about to say, don't give us an opinion now. You haven't for the last 25 minutes. Leon, Barcelona, Liverpool, Bayern. I loved Klopp in the interview when he said, when I was at Dortmund, we had a bow and arrow and Bayern Munich had a bazooka. That's how great it was to try and win that Bundesliga then. He's now at Liverpool. Will they beat Bayern?
A great game. Do you know what? Bayern has been really funny this season. They've been very poor at the beginning of the season, almost like a Celtic way. They've been poor at the end, came in with a great run after the break. I think, I'll go with Liverpool just to edge Bayern.
Right, I'm going 2-1, Ruffy.
I think Liverpool fall into the same scenario as Celtic. Win most of their league games because 2/3 of the league aren't competitive enough, and then they come up against a Bayern or they come up against a Valencia and they get fun out. And I think that's what will happen against Bayern. I think over the two legs, Bayern will win.
And what about tonight?
I'm not too sure about that one.
Okay, there you have it. Again, vague, no real opinion whatsoever. And you're wondering, why don't we just get one of the mannequins to sit in where Ruffy is and put a mullet on it? It's a question we're asking ourselves over the course of last night and tonight as well. We'll somehow get an opinion out of him by tomorrow. I promise you that. Barry Ferguson will be back with us. Thanks to Hugh MacDonald for his opinion, and to Ruffy and myself. Hopefully, you'll join us tomorrow again.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.